Welcome to Michael Potts F1, everything Formula One, but from a photographer's point of view. As we wrap up for the cold European winter, the heat of the Abu Dhabi desert is just a distant memory. It's time to analyse each of the team's performances, looking at which drivers excelled and which ones didn't cut the mustard. During this vlog, I would like to show you some of my favourite photographs and discuss how the team's prospects fared throughout the course of the year. Scuderia AlphaTauri have dropped to 9th place in the standings. That's utterly disastrous compared to where they were last year. Last season, they were in a massive fight for 5th place. They even scored a podium. They scored 142 points that year. This year, only 35. So what's gone wrong? How did the sister team perform so badly when Red Bull was so dominant? After all, they both have the same engine, and AlphaTauri have the same drivers as they had last year. So what possibly went wrong? Well, we know that this year was a brand new aero rig by Formula One. So completely new aero rules and a new car concept. Now, AlphaTauri buys a lot of its parts from Red Bull. And the way Red Bull works is they develop a part right up into the last minute, which is awesome for them, but it's terrible for any customers who receive that part and then have to try and fit it into their car with practically no time whatsoever. But there were other things. There were a lot of reliability issues and also quite a lot of crashes. Probably the highlight for the team was the 5th place they scored at Azerbaijan with Pierre Gasly. For a lot of this race, he was running at the same pace as the Mercedes. Undoubtedly, he benefited by the 2 Ferraris not finishing, but a 5th place for an AlphaTauri is still a stunning result. The low point was when Tsunoda spun into Gasly at the British Grand Prix, knocking them both out. Not only did it knock both cars out of point-scoring positions, but it also dropped some debris, which was later picked up by Max, and that compromised his race. So that was a triple whammy for Red Bull. Head-to-head, Pierre Gasly versus Yuki Tsunoda. Gasly's had the better of the two in head-to-head battles. He's outscored Tsunoda in each category. But it probably would have been more dominant if both cars had finished more races. They only managed to get both cars home in 13 of the 22 events, and they never had a weekend where both cars finished in the points. Qualifying was decent. On a single lap, they were on average the 6th fastest car, but then they would go backwards in the race. The start of the season was decent. After round 8 in Baku, they had amassed 27 points, but they would only score 8 more points in the remainder of the 14 events, showing how much they'd dropped off in the second half of the year. Yuki had a difficult second album in 2022. It appears he turned a corner at the end of last season. He started the year well with an 8th place in Bahrain, and he scored fairly regularly, but the season was marred by a lot of crashes, driver errors and mechanical issues. He actually said he was quite surprised to be retained in 2023, and truth be told, he probably only kept his seat because there weren't a lot of other junior Red Bull drivers coming through the ranks. The first shot I'd like to show you comes from the USA Grand Prix in Austin. It's taken at a 1/5 of a second, and it's of Yuki with the crowd behind him. With a dark background, the car dissolves, giving it a real sense of speed and movement. The next image comes from the Italian Grand Prix, taken slightly quicker, at a 1/6 of a second rather than a 1/5. I've panned with the marshal standing in front of me, knowing that the orange of his overalls will blur into the shot, and enough information of the car will still be captured. This is a great way of adding colour to your motorsport photography. You can use marshal flags or cones, and they will give you a similar effect. It wasn't a great race for Tsunoda. He started at the back due to a series of grid penalties. He ended up 14th, but mainly because others dropped out. He probably has one more chance left in Formula One. If next year he doesn't perform well against Nick de Vries, I can't see Red Bull wanting to keep him any longer. Pierre Gasly's season started poorly, with his car catching on fire in lap 46 of the Bahrain Grand Prix. The season wouldn't have been one that he wanted, and his frustration began to show towards the end. He was overlooked for a return to the main Red Bull team, so he initially re-signed with AlphaTauri in 2023. But when a seat became available at Alpine, he grabbed that opportunity. This will be a real chance for him to score some points regularly and be part of a works team. This slow shutter speed shot was taken during the Singapore night race. I was standing next to the track and panning with a wide-angle lens. This allowed me to get a really slow shutter speed shot of Pierre's car going past, with sparks coming out the back. The car is moving so fast in relation to the camera that there's almost separation between the brake lights and the rear of the wheel. It's a challenge to capture anything travelling at that speed, being so close to the camera. Pierre was bold in this race, being one of the first to switch to slick tyres, but unfortunately it didn't pay off, and he was only able to secure a 10th place. This shot is taken at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as the drivers make their way to the grid. It's a great chance to get close to the moving cars and shoot from a very low angle, in relative safety. This was Gasly's last race for the Red Bull Group. It's a team that he's been part of for 8 years, and they've supported him through many junior categories. Next year marks a whole new start for Pierre Gasly, and an all-French team, with a French teammate. Hopefully they'll create an environment for him to flourish and reach his potential. However, in Ocon, he has an ultra-competitive teammate, and the two of them have history from their karting days, so things could get quite spicy over at Alpine. ALPHATAURI are too good a team to be stuck down in 9th place for too long. Their partnership with Red Bull will help them overcome their technical difficulties for next year. Well, there'll probably be a lot of pressure on Tsunoda next year to perform. He'll have a new teammate, Nyck de Vries. Together they can form a good driving partnership, and if nothing else, they can form the smallest driving partnership on the grid. This energy and enthusiasm will hopefully be something that compensates for the loss of experience with Pierre Gasly leaving at the end of the year. Thank you for watching my review of the Scuderia ALPHATAURI. I hope you've enjoyed it. What do you think of their prospects for next year? There's a little bit of debate who's going to be the team leader between Nyck de Vries and Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki has more experience in the team, but Nyck has won Formula E, and he's a Formula 2 champion in his own right. So there's a lot open and a lot to discuss. So please do let me know in the comments below. As always, there's photographs of ALPHATAURI available to buy in the description below. So until the next one, goodbye.